Hi, I'm back for another video. This time I'd like to speak about attention. Um, in my experience of ceremonies and also leading some workshops, teaching people in nature to get in touch with the natural world and actually experience the spirit aspects of nature, the subtle aspects of nature, if you want to call them that. My experience is modern individuals, not all, but many, in my opinion, on perception, have a very short attention span, and that is compared to traditional cultures. I think a lot of it has to do with overstimulation. So a lot of the world we are kind of experiencing is built in a certain way where it tries to grab our attention through constant, renewed stimulation. So it's actually trying to provoke an emotional reaction, constantly provoke an emotional reaction, and grab our attention. And this stimulation comes from everywhere, all around us. A lot of it has to do with advertising, but all modern forms of communication have grasped how really the human attention, when it's untrained, works, and also what levers can actually capture human attention for the benefit of a sale, for the benefit of selling you something, a product. Some aspects of this, of course, are even closer to some forms, we could say, of sorcery. Because, for example, if you're trying to capture people's attention for political reasons, you can use all kinds of patterns and actually a great amount of archetypal symbols, which is now fairly well mastered by, you could say, communication agencies. So in order to kind of grab and direct, so you could say manipulate, our attention in a certain direction. So it's bypassing our attention, our real focused attention, and it's actually going into our unconscious levers, different wounds and different appetites and different emotional triggers in order to attain certain results. Far from me the idea of starting to make videos about conspiracy or all these things. All kinds of things do exist. And indeed, every single tool can be used to either end, and even to the darker end, or the light, or the most humane and generous end. Now, speaking of attention, if I start focusing only on the kind of nightmare stories, then I'm grabbed in a way by this end of the spectrum. And I'm not saying one should not be aware fully of what exists, but there is the same problem, a possible problem of being grabbed by something and staying stuck there. So, and now even if one thinks that one is controlling this investigation, eventually you can just tumble down in that hole and lose your attention. This may sound like something, like not much maybe, but this is actually what happens when you are navigating in trance in the spirit world. When your practice is a really serious one, eventually you will start meeting, or fairly quickly, it depends also on different things, you'll start meeting, of course, less sympathetic forces in creation, because they exist also in the spirit world. And you could have purely defensive reaction to that, and that is important. A lot of the ancient tribal shamanism practice is built upon protection and actually warlike practices. They are important, in my opinion, very important in the sense that they allow you not to be naive about actual serious, I'm not talking about beginner shamanism here, or just journeys to meet your power animal or enhance yourself. I'm not talking about personal development here, not really. But when you're in very serious shamanism, then you are actually encountering very disharmonious things, because those are the things you are trying to help with or heal. And so this ancient tribal shamanism, with its kind of warlike thing, teaches you not to be naive. It teaches you also to have attention again. It teaches you not to be asleep. It teaches you to have proper boundaries. It teaches you to have clarity. It teaches you to be able to choose, and it teaches you not to be captured by looking at the blade. If you think of that old samurai, and not only samurai, saying that you can get caught by just watching the blade itself. So you have to be able to see what is possibly difficult or threatening, but you must not get caught in a kind of fascination. And escaping different forms of fascination, or clarifying, not escaping, different forms of fascination within shamanic work is a key thing, because there are all kinds of fascinations, positive and negative, but the fascination is the same. So in the end, even in positive fascinations, you will end up with trouble. So you are walking in the middle way. You're not saying this doesn't exist and this doesn't exist. You're saying this exists and this exists and I can perceive it, but I'm walking the middle way. This is a very basic explanation. There's more to this, but just to start with. So attention in the real world is the same thing, because those different things are trying to grab our attention. You could get fascinated, you could just be completely unconscious, or you can start realizing, oh, this is being manipulative. But if you start being fascinated by the manipulation, then you're manipulated. So attention is key. And attention is key in order for you to be here, present, not somewhere else, not with your friends and somewhere else, not with your family and somewhere else. So this is a very both shamanistic key element and practice, but it's also an everyday practice. So you can practice your shamanism in your everyday. Attention can be attained and enhanced through coming back to your bodily sensations. So coming back regularly to your body sensations is a way of coming back to yourself. This is a very simple practice. You'll find it in different traditions. One a shamanistic tradition I have been in contact with at a certain point. And you can also find it in the work of Gurdjieff, for example, in the Fourth Way, with, for example, the self-reminder of feeling your hand, and also different senses. You can find it also in the Naqshbandi traditions, the Sufi traditions, etc. Coming back to attention, realizing when you're dreaming or being caught by something. People might say, oh well, actually following that thread of dreaming is a key element in shamanism. It is. But you are actually choosing, you're opening your space in order to go into a certain space. You're opening it, and then you're closing it, and you're choosing your direction. Of course, you're not controlling everything, because the spirit world or the imaginal world will teach you from different directions, but you are still working with intent. So it's not exactly the same thing. Those are very basic concepts. I hope they're helpful and or give you some food for experience, experimentation. I wish you a very good day and blessings.